Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dan salam sejahtera, Professor Asma from the Academy of Sciences, Malaysia, representatives from the Ministry of Education, from the Ministry of Health, from MARA, all the sponsors, all the participating schools, teams, the judges, ladies and gentlemen. We are slightly behind schedule, so I'm not going to read a long, boring speech by a minister. I already have in my hand the results, which I will announce later, and that's what I'm sure all of you are waiting anxiously to find out. I just want to make some brief remarks. Professor Asma, the president of the Academy of Sciences, has spoken at length already, and I don't want to repeat some of the fine, wise words that she conveyed. But I want to tell you a little bit about why science is important to me, to a politician. I want you to consider the fact that the most developed country in the world, the United States, has 10 million COVID infections and 238,000 deaths from COVID-19. Why was this? Why does the United States, and to some extent the United Kingdom, why do they have some of the most staggering COVID numbers? Not good numbers, bad numbers. Why is the most powerful, technologically advanced, scientifically accomplished country in the world struggling to deal with this pandemic? And it's quite simple. It's because their leaders, or in particular their leader, soon to be former leader, did not listen to science. And that's why science is so important to me as a politician. As a politician, you must make decisions based on evidence, and a large part of that is science. Professor Asma spoke earlier about the intersection between hard sciences and social sciences. I live in the world of social sciences as a politician, and if I don't marry my world with a world of evidence-based hard science, we end up making the wrong decisions. So in the United States, you have a situation where for the last few years, there's been a denial of climate change, denial of science when it comes to climate change, and therefore the desire to want to do things to ensure that we slow down the warming of the earth, that we decrease the amount of carbon being let out into the environment, that we reduce our reliance on fossil fuels, was not pursued by their leaders because they didn't listen to the science. When it comes to COVID, they didn't listen to the scientists. They didn't listen to Dr. Fauci. They didn't listen to all the guys and scientists that we see on CNN saying that we have to practice physical distancing, we have to do mass testing, we have to lock down some of the cities where the incidences of infections are staggeringly high. In Malaysia, we try to listen to our scientists as much as possible. And although we're going through a pretty bad patch of a third wave of infections right now, I'd like to think that we did much better than some of these other countries like the United States. And that's because we listen to our scientific experts. That's because we listen to the Ministry of Health. And that's why we have largely managed to contain the COVID infections, and hopefully we'll be able to flatten this third wave within the next few weeks. So to me, it's very important that science plays a tremendously important role in decision-making, in policy-making. We can't just have politicians like me deciding on policies without any evidence, without any research. So I'm so happy to hear that Professor Asma mentioning about the intersection between natural sciences, hard sciences, and also social sciences. And that's why earlier in the pitching session, and I'd like to congratulate the schools, there was so wonderful ideas in suggesting how we might best tackle the pandemic, from ideas on testing, to ideas on personal protective equipment, to ideas on wearables, to the distributed computer system in developing the vaccines. These were fantastic. I mean, you might have seen my screen switched off, but I was listening to all the presentations that were made. I'm so proud that you guys, spent a lot of time and effort, not just to look at the technical aspect of it, but you were able to answer some of the questions which dealt with policy. How do you fund this? How do you commercialize this? How this will be applicable to Malaysia, and how this can be rolled out to as many people as possible. So it's not just about the science, but it's about how the science is used to affect policy and also to help people and be rapidly deployable for Malaysia and also around the world. So I think it's very important that science plays a big role for me as a politician in how we decide things. I just want to share with you as well, finally, some of my concerns with regards to STEM, or science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in Malaysia. If you look at the Science Outlook report for 2017, and I doubt that the statistic has changed very much over the last 3 years, the data actually shows that annual tertiary education enrollment in STEM courses has dropped from 41% to 40% in 2016. And that drop is quite worrying, because we wanted at least 60% of our tertiary education places to be STEM. Unfortunately, it's the other way around. Now, this is worrying for us, because as much as we need social scientists like myself, we also need more people who are involved in STEM. As part of it is perhaps because a lot of students still find STEM daunting, inaccessible. But part of it, I've been told, is also because of the employment prospects of STEM graduates. And that's something we're looking at my ministry seriously, to ensure that people who do decide to take STEM courses have good paying jobs after they graduate, and not like some of the situations that they find themselves in right now. Looking to the future, there is a bright future for Malaysia in STEM. I think we are not far behind, or too far behind, some of our peers in the region, but there's a lot of catching up to do. So the Academy of Sciences Malaysia, the agency that has hosted this National Science Challenge, has been working very hard over the last few years to come up with a picture of the future, which I've endorsed recently. And that picture of the future will excite some of you, because some of the presentations today are utilizing technologies that ASM have identified as the technology for today and tomorrow. And this list is, of course, non-exhaustive, but I'd like to share with you some of the technologies that we want to put a big bet on as far as Malaysia is concerned. So the first one, of course, is mobile networks, 5G and 6G. The next one is sensor technology. The third is 3D, 4D printing. The fourth, which is an exciting area which my ministry is looking at, which is advanced materials. Some of you guys touched on it just now. The fifth, of course, is artificial intelligence, and we know that that's going to be a game changer for many, many countries around the world. The sixth is to ensure that everything is safe, and that's encryption technology, cybersecurity. The seventh is augmented analytics and data discovery. The eighth, which we're trying to use during this vaccination rollout, is blockchain, how we can track all the vaccinations that we'll be giving Malaysians for COVID-19 next year. 9 is neurotechnology, and this is a fundamental part of IR4, where it's not the physical, the digital world, but it's also the biological world that is converging together, and it's amazing. And of course, the 10th is bioscience technology. Again, the convergence of just the physical world, the digital world, and the biological world. We're starting to biohack. We're wearing all these wearable devices now, telling us how healthy we are, and maybe from just the analytics, it will also be diagnostic and also be something that we can deploy to treat us in the future. So we've mapped these 10 things against 10 socioeconomic drivers or sectors. So it's not just about the technology, but it's about how that technology is going to make a difference to Malaysians and also to other countries. So we've mapped those 10 technologies with energy. So how are we going to create renewable energy, sustainable energy, that's clean, that doesn't require fossil fuels, that doesn't deplete our natural resources. We're going to apply this technology into business financial services so we can grow the economy, so we can ensure that we remain at the forefront of being a business-friendly country. Arts, culture, and tourism. Think about how we can apply augmented reality to tourism. Now that we can't travel, imagine we have these augmented virtual reality where we can travel without actually physically traveling. This is not science fiction, this is science fact. You know, this technology is available today. Medical and healthcare, about how these technologies, sensor technologies, can make us diagnose better, how artificial intelligence can be used to analyze x-rays, and you know, radiologists will work together with AI in order to diagnose much quicker. Smart technology for manufacturing, smart cities and transportation, water and food, agriculture, education, and of course, the environment. So the future is really, really crazy. The future is really exciting. And the key takeaway that I have from today is that I'm so proud that we have young Malaysians like you guys who are already there. You know, you're already there. You're at the cusp of really pushing the boundaries that I spoke of earlier. Now, I just want to end by saying that I want to thank the Academy Science Malaysia for being the host of this. I've just secured in the budget that was announced on Friday a new allocation for something that's called the Tech Olympics in Malaysia, which we're going to start next year. And I want this to be part of Minggu Sains Negara. I want the National Science Challenge to be part of this Tech Olympics. So, I mean, I was the sports minister before, so I'm obsessed with competitions. I'm obsessed with like SUKMA, SEA Games. I hosted SEA Games. So I thought, why can't we have like an Olympics for geeks? I say that in the nicest possible terms. So imagine a national level competition where, you know, you're coding, your drones, you got robotics, you got science pitch, you know, involving young Malaysians from across the country. 1 week, 1 month, and we find the best. And I think this kind of competition, this kind of emphasis on trying to unearth the best minds with ideas on how to commercialize their invention and in their innovation will push the STEM agenda a long way ahead. And the other thing that we secured in the budget on Friday was maker spaces. So really small science tech spaces that are sustainable, low cost. We're not going to build white elephants. That I want to build in the rural areas, in the PPR flats. So you have your 3D printing there, you have your E&E boards there, and we get all these things out there to areas like, you know, I had school from Sabah, which presented just now. Congratulations. And I understand that this is not accessible in some parts of the country, and I want to bring it to all parts of the country. So it's not just kids in the urban areas that have access to these maker spaces, but more of you around the country. So I'm going to end there. I promise not a boring ministerial speech. Thank you very much to ASM. Congratulations to all the schools that were selected for the final round. And as I said, I already have the winner in my hand. But I'm gonna give it back to the MC because I know that he wants to announce some of the other winners before I come back to announce the grand prize winner. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera.
Thank you, IB Khairi.